The Mare Jivari, the Silent Sea, a wasteland where the wind dies and legends fall. Is it simply just another region? Or does it hide secrets underneath the ash? Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, however, welcome lore enthusiast. It's been a while since we last met, but I am back with a quick lore recap about the Mare Jivari. If you're a new Genshin player, you might have heard it mentioned in the 5.2 event, but the Mare Jivari has been mentioned here and there since version 1.0, and today we're finally gonna put some of the pieces together.
So without further ado, let's get started. The Mare Jivari, known in other languages as the Silent Sea of Ashes and the Ashen Sea, is an area to the very west of the Natlan region that has been a source of fascination for me since it was first mentioned in Venti's character story back in the game's release. Very little is known about this location, but what we do know is enough to piece together a rough storyline. I will go through these events in the order that they were revealed to us, as we don't have a clear timeline yet. I'll give my speculation at the very end. In the Lavawalker artifact set released in version 1.0, the Mare Jivari is described as a flame-ridden, blazingly hot place of flowing lava, where a phoenix sings amid the flames. More interestingly, we read the story of the Lavawalker himself, or as he's called in the Chinese version, the Fire-Crossing Sage, a student who was able to craft a circlet that allowed him to traverse the Mare Jivari unharmed. We don't get an exact description of who he was or where he studied, but I'd like to assume that he was a scholar from Natlan, or perhaps even a scholar from Sumer. The Lavawalker crafted a circlet from crimson agate to be able to withstand the intense heat from the Mare Jivari, which sparked fear and jealousy among his peers, who deemed him blasphemous and condemned him to die in the flaming sea. However, the circlet worked, and the Lavawalker was able to safely enter the location. In his travels, the Lavawalker came across a solitary phoenix, whose only description is that people worshipped it as a totem, while kings saw it as a sign of nobility. The Fire-Crossing Sage then lived a solitary life himself, retreating from the outside world even after he crossed the Mare Jivari. Something about the place deeply marked him, and the rest of his life is described as a burning torment. As he felt he could no longer quench the torturing flames of time, the Lavawalker set off to a final journey. The anguish of being left alone without the disciples and the family he held so dear burned away at his soul more than any flames could ever scorch his flesh. The last thing his people found of him was a flower at the very edge of the Mare Jivari, but the Fire-Crossing Sage was never to be seen again.
But this is not where the story ends.
The very next event that we know of is when the legendary Wanderer's Troupe went to the Mare Jivari to, quote, perform for their friends and foes alike.
The name of the foe they encountered and defeated was revealed just recently in an updated dialogue. Orban, an NPC in Dragonspine, tells us that the Wanderer's Troupe defeated the evil creature called Bakunawa, and that the flautist, whom we know as a Dawnlight Swordswoman, carved a runestone from its body. This is important, keep it in mind, we'll come back to it a little bit later.
Later on, in Venti's character quest, we hear the story of an adventurer who crossed the Mare Jivari, but that tale is also reserved for a little bit later. From this point on, I'll touch on the Natlan Archon quest and the upcoming 5.8 event, so this is your spoiler warning. I'll only touch on what's necessary, but do be warned if you want to avoid some important plot points. As we have seen from the Natlan Archon quests, Natlan is under constant threat of abyssal corrosion due to its weakened ley lines. This was disastrous during the Cataclysm era, when tribe warriors were forced to fight for their land in what was called the Battle of the Mare Jivari. In this battle, one of the 6 heroes, Sanhaj, used his powers to summon a version of the Night Kingdom to quell abyssal forces and their corruption.
While this put a temporary stop to the abyssal onslaught, it also came at a great cost.
Not only did the 6 heroes tragically perish, but the battle and magic turned the Mare Jivari into a wasteland, which got its ashen name from the remains of warriors and monsters that covered the territory. It is said that bone-chilling cries could be heard from its depths, and, at other times, the region would be engulfed in towering flames that drown them out. This description is what matches the Mare Jivari that we currently know. It is unclear if the lava-breathing land came before, during, or after. Characters even argue the fact among themselves, and I do have my preference, but I'll let you draw your own conclusions. The Mare Jivari then became a rite of passage for adventurers.
And this is where we hear the story of Stanley, an adventurer who died protecting a pier from, you guessed it, an evil beast. See the pattern?
Around 30 years before the start of the game, people who visited the Mare Jivari sighted, and I quote, an enormous dark creature the size of a mountain.
The beast comes up again in the recent Paralogism quest, which mentions that the Hexen Circle has a piece of flesh of an immortal creature found in the Mare Jivari, which is imbued with infinite vitality. And finally, with the 5.8 teaser, we have a better picture of just what is that lurks within the Ashen Sea.
The Bakunawa is one of Rangdottir's creations, who is seemingly immortal, as it can regrow limbs. The Wanderer's troop fought the Bakunawa and got a chunk of his flesh, but the monster was far from defeated. As one of Rangdottir's creatures, it harnesses abyssal power, which may or may not be connected to the events of the Battle of Mare Jivari. After the creation of the Ashen Sea, the Bakunawa remained, let's call it, inert, until it began awakening 30 years before the start of the game. After that, it is said that the region disappeared. Until now. 5.8, which releases in a couple of days, will take us to the mysterious land of the Mare Jivari to confront the Bakunawa.
And here is another curveball. See that mark in the sky?
If you said Bennett's constellation, you would be right. Without making this video longer than it already is, I'll summarize. Bennett is an orphan, whom an adventurer found amid scorching flames and deafening thunder. The adventurer unfortunately died of his injuries, and Bennett ended up being raised by the rest of the Adventurers Guild. A land of scorching flames sounds just like the Mare Jivari.
And with Bennett suddenly getting a new outfit and his constellation being in the sky, I'm sure we'll come full circle from 1.0 and find out exactly what his connection to the place is.
The teaser even mentioned the flow of time and made emphasis on the wind, and Anju is on his way to investigate more about the Mare Jivari. I'm so excited! Okay, back to character. And that, my friends, is all that we know about the Mare Jivari so far. All in all, you can see how these reveals about the place and how Bennett is connected to it have lore enthusiasts very excited, as this has been mentioned since the very release of the game. I can't wait to come back to this video after this new quest and see how many connections, if any, we found during our voyage to this land where the wind dies and legends fall. Thank you so much for listening and for your time. I would like to say that I am back for good, so if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more Genshin lore. You can also leave comments on any topics that you'd like me to cover. Again, thank you, I am glad to be back, and I will see you next time.